Welcome, everybody. So my name is Stuart Cunningham, and for those that I haven't met, there's a few new faces, some very new. I have the privilege of being the executive sponsor for the overall core solution project, both phase one and phase two. But before we get started into the materials, I will just open the meeting with the land acknowledgement. I didn't bring my reading glasses, so bear with me. Saskatchewan Workers' Compensation
back if you like.
Saskatchewan Workers' Compensation Board acknowledges that the Spadina and Saskatoon offices are located on the ancestral land and traditional territories of Nahawak, Saulteaux, Dene, Dakota, Lakota, Nakota, and Homelandic Métis Nation. We respect Treaty 4 and Treaty 6 that were made on these lands, and we are committed to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous nations in the spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. So good afternoon, everybody. It's my third roadshow today, so I'm getting pretty used to these opening remarks, but I'll probably have to refer to my notes a couple of times. I was thinking back about how far we've come in this project. We actually started phase one back in 2023. Just over 2 years ago, we launched. Can everybody hear me online, by the way? Just give me a yes, because I can't see.
We can hear you. Thank you for checking.
We were kicking off phase one. We were talking about all these ideas and possibilities that we had ahead of us, and now we are ready to go. We're getting ready to go live for phase one. I was thinking back as well to 2022 when we truly started this through the procurement phase. We had this vision, a vision of an integrated solution that would, once it was fully implemented across both phases, basically at the most fundamental level, improve the experience of our customers and our staff. We launched, like I said, in 2023. That was a day one. We had phase one of two phases. We have a day one for go live for phase one. All of those ones, they're just beginnings. They're beginnings of a new phase in our transformation and our evolution as an organization. One where over time the desire is that we grow, we deliver a more streamlined experience for our customers, and definitely remove some of the headaches that we had heard from our staff. That were created by some of the older systems that were reused through this. Thanks, Monica.
Break attention.
Exactly. So I was thinking back to the change vision statement as well that we had as part of the core solution project, and one of the things that it leads with is that it's a once in a generation opportunity to build something better than what we have now, and we're all part of that. Not many organizations get the chance to build something, from the ground up, from the bottom up, something new and something better. But we do. And really, when I think about what the secret ingredients are that kind of got us to this point where we're about to go live, it's all down to you guys, your ideas, your expertise, your patience, your resilience, and the collaboration that occurred over the last couple of years. Because while we had some great subject matter experts on the program helping us out every day, we also had people back in the business trying to keep the lights on, and so it really was a joint effort and a lot of collaboration to make sure that we got to this point. The other thing I'll say is the project itself, the core solution project. It's always been just like the overall program. This project has always been positioned more holistically. It's not a technology implementation per se. It's an opportunity for us to transform our business, transform our processes, make those more simple, connect the organization in new ways, in different ways, ways that we weren't able to before with our architecture. And while we're doing all of that, build some new skills and some new mindsets. And so I think we're definitely getting there. We've gotten there, and there's a little ways to go. One thing I will say is just, in the interest of full transparency, as we get ready to go live, and in particular that transition period after go live, we do know that there are some open issues. We have quite a lot of outstanding issues or defects to be resolved. One of the most important things I'd like this group to take away is that, number one, we know what those issues are. We've tested well, and we have a really good sense as to where those issues, where those gaps are. But also we have a strong commitment from our partners like KPMG and Sapiens to resolve those within a fairly reasonable period of time after we go live, kind of in a 3 to 6 month territory. And we have a detailed plan to address those as well. So not only do we have the commitment, but we have the plan, looking at all those defects, the impacts of those workarounds or those interim processes, which of those should go first. We have that prioritized. And so those that are, of most impact, most significance will be likely the most, the ones that will be resolved the soonest. We also know, just like we experienced with all of our previous projects in the program, that there will be some additional issues that we'll only realize after we go live. And we also have a very very strong process documented that you'll hear about today to identify those, triage them, and then resolve those unknown issues. And just keeping with the same spirit of the issues that we know about. One of the things that I have talked about before is that quality, from our perspective, doesn't equal perfection on day one. Really, from our perspective, I think across the organization, quality means that we have the ability to go live with a solution that has a manageable impact on internal and external users. It's not perfection. There's many examples of other transformations within the city that have gone live with more defects, more issues, and done that with a very, very similar plan to what we're taking forward. So I feel really confident about our ability to work through those issues that we know about, and also the ones that we'll only discover after we go live. And I think we can say that we have achieved that threshold for quality. Like I said, there will be challenges that will need to be navigated, but I do know, all the teams that are supporting this endeavor, your leaders in the project, your leaders in the business, will be doing their utmost to ensure that everybody who's working in the system day to day has the support that they need as we work through those issues. And I think you'll hear quite a lot about that from Ty today. The other thing as well is this concept of a one team approach, something that we've been trying to embed, not just across our vendors, but also that we've seen really successfully across our teams internally. And really, it's simple. It's about digging in, supporting each other through those challenges. And I think Go Live becomes just one more opportunity for the teams here just to continue to live that principle, to live that value as we work through Go Live. And I know that you will be. I know that you'll stay as flexible as you've been up to this point, as we, continue to build comfort with the new system, and then, of course, as those issues get resolved. Like I said already, there's been a few team members who've been, deeply involved in the project itself, in terms of, shaping the solution, testing it, and training on the new system. Whereas for others, it's just the beginning, right? You're beginning to see the new system come to life, but. Like I mentioned already, played a crucial role in terms of keeping the lights on back in the business. But no matter wherever you've been connected to the project, however you've been connected to the project, your part in that and in that success really matters. And so I just wanted to say thank you all for playing that part so well. I also want to recognise the trust and the patience that you've each shown, that willingness to adapt your processes over the course of the last couple of years. That's really what's making it possible for us to go live with the solution in the next couple of weeks. I think it's only it's less than 10 days, right? It's 2 weeks away. It's getting real. But also, it really is, yeah. I also want to recognize just everybody again in the room and everybody around this go live decision that we have over the last number of weeks, months for sure. I've seen leaders, supervisors, trainers, and of course staff that we're keeping the lights on for the last 2 years, really rally around the challenges that we needed to overcome to be ready to go live. It was a huge support for the project team, huge support for us. So just really appreciative of that. And that patience and that expertise that you've shown, that willingness to collaborate and problem solve was pivotal for us through phase one, and we're nearly there. From a business perspective, speaking really in terms of what I heard from the employer services session this morning, I've heard a lot of really positive feedback that even with those interim processes that we have, those workarounds that we have in place, the solution is definitely an improvement on what was there before. So I think if we can take that at face value, but then fast forward a few months when we're all getting more comfortable with the new system in terms of working in it, as the solution itself is getting more stable in terms of resolving those defects, we'll start to see that become even better. We'll start to see some of those benefits that we know exist within the system come to life. And so just need a little bit more of that patience and expertise for the next few months after we go live. I'll close my remarks up here. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I really am privileged and honoured to be the executive sponsor. I'm humbled by what we've achieved as an organisation with the first phase. It hasn't always been easy. It definitely hasn't gone exactly the way that we thought it would, the best laid plans of mice and men. But thanks for your resilience and your commitment and your collaboration, like I mentioned already. Personally speaking, I've had a lot of lessons learned, I guess, so along the way. Definitely some reflections for sure. One of the biggest things I would say is what I see as this really positive impact on culture that the overall program, I think, is having. We've developed new ways to lead. We've identified new ways for people to learn. We have found new ways for us to support across the organization. Eliminate some of the silos that perhaps existed before. We can focus and finish on key initiatives. I think we're proving that. We're showing trust to each other as we're, living in projects or living back in the business. Trust that our colleagues will champion our needs really well. I think there's been a lot of positive development in terms of how we communicate through all levels of the organization. With transparency. Trying to not sugarcoat anything, but really give the goods as they are. Like empowering staff to problem solve and to design change is huge. And of course, one of the things that I think, from my perspective, is key. Not chasing perfection all the time, right? I think it's probably been part of our DNA as an organization. I think we've learned that it can impede progress, and I think that we've shown that. Not chasing perfection gets us to a pretty good point, and a point where we're ready to go live. And so, really hoping that all of these elements that I mentioned will become a deeper part of our DNA as an organization in the future. And I know that at some point when I have a little bit more time to think and reflect, I'll be thinking about how we can do that and how this has impacted my career and all of us here in the room together in a positive way, ideally. So I think with that, I'll just close by saying a really sincere thank you to everybody in the room today. As I mentioned, it wouldn't be without your efforts that we would be here. So really thank you all. And with that, I'll pass it forward to Dale.
Thank you, Stuart. He's pretty much exactly what I would have said. We did. It's a major milestone, phase one. And Stuart talked about it, but it's not about the collective work that's being done in the organization. I like the culture statement. That's actually very good. We built a strong foundation here, I think, with this project. And it's not just the system, it's the processes, but it's how we work together. The collaboration we've seen between teams has been outstanding. We've got everybody from employer services, finance, IT, and BI working together and getting the work done. And they're solving the problems. I says, that's going to stick with you for the rest of your lives. And it's an opportunity you may only get once in a career. So it is kind of cool to be a part of this. First of all, I want to say I'm really proud of the team. Everybody's who's worked together. There's a lot of work to be done yet, and we'll have to all step up. But we know we've achieved a lot of good stuff. It's taken a lot of patience, taken a lot of interesting conversations, and a lot of hard work and overtime. But everyone leans on each other, and we got the job done. Phase one is going live is an important milestone. It's a start of a new chapter for us and the organization, but in finance as well. Our shift is going to change gradually. It's not going to be on day one. It's going to be around the data, importantly. So the data will start feeding go live. We won't actually be working with the data until more likely at the end of the year when we go live. So, of course, in January, when we start our reconciliations, we do our financial statements, we prepare for audit. That's when we'll see the impact. That's when we'll be accessing the data out of Core Suite. That's going to be a very busy time for us, I think, because it's on top of everything else we do. Keeping the lights on, making sure our vendors are paid, salaries go out, money's received and deposited. All that continues. So this is all going to be on top of it. I know January is going to be tough. It's our busiest time of the year. We have year-end reconciliations, audit, financial, like I said. The work will be very detailed and demanding, and at times, and kind of work, but it's kind of work, right? Typically in the finance area, actuarial services, that's where we do our best. We're steady, careful, thorough. We have a reputation built on that type of consistency within all. within WC, but it's all finance areas have that reputation. And I know we'll continue to deliver exactly the way we always have. Of course, like Stuart mentioned, this is not going to come without some bumps. There are a lot of some known issues that already exist. That's not uncommon to a big system implementation, but there are interim processes in place, including the finance area. I think there are some workarounds. You could probably talk about those. Critical items, like Stuart said, are going to be prioritized. There's a number of fixes. I think there are 3 releases being planned, a number of hot fixes as well. To get these dealt with in a very timely process, there'll be adjustments and some surprises. That's, again, common. But that's normal. We'll handle them just like we always do, with calm communication and teamwork. So I want to assure you, just as Stuart has, that we are ready. I think we have carefully planned for this transition. We've been working closely with ITBI, Employer Services, to make sure we have what we need. All our partners, and I call them partners in crime, but Sapiens and KPMG, to make sure we have the reports, everything that we need in place. And Cindy back there, who's keeping track of everything. So we understand how things are going to be. We'll be able to log everything. We'll know that everything's getting done. This is a good time to remember that phase 1 is just partway there. We got phase 2 coming, where we'll be introducing claims lifecycle and integrating it with our finance processes. So this is just the first step of it. And so we'll be introducing that as well. So just a reminder that there's more good opportunities coming forward. As we work through the next few months, I want to thank each of you for your hard work, your professionalism, your patience, and your teamwork. The reconciliations, the year-end close, the audit prep will all take extra effort. But this team always steps up when it matters most. I didn't want to forget anything, so I have to write it down. So as we heard, the go live and everything that follows, remember, we've done the work to prepare. We are ready for this. I am very confident. I've seen so much of the work in detail that goes into the planning for this. It's amazing. And I've been involved in one other major project like this before, and it was nowhere near. Governance, from the governance structure to the change management to the project management, it is by far and above the most complete plan I've ever seen. So I'm proud of this team. I'm proud of the work that we've done. This is just the beginning of what's ahead, and I know that we'll continue to succeed the same way we always do. Let's take some time today to talk through what's coming next, how we're preparing for cutover and beyond, answer any questions that you may have, hear your thoughts, anything that's on your mind as we move forward. It's a chance to ask a question about it. At the end of today's session, you will receive a readiness pulse survey. It'll either come out through email or through Teams or something, and I encourage everyone to do it. It gives us the information that how a pulse of how people are feeling, and it's important to know if you're feeling you're comfortable with the training. You're not in some sort of aspect of the project. We'd like to hear it because you can't fix some things you don't know. So with that, again, thank you. And I will pass it off to Lisa.
Yeah, I'm going to do a quick change activity. I'm Lisa McDonald. I think I've definitely seen all of you guys. I don't know that I've met you in person, but thank you for having me here. I get to do the fun part, and this is a change reflection activity. So recognizing that everybody experiences change a little bit differently. Everybody feels a little bit different. Looking for you on a scale of 1 to 10 to write your number of how you're feeling, from I'm not feeling ready at all, Lisa, to I am feeling completely ready. Let's do this on the Post-it note, and then I'm going to put them on the little continuum behind you. So 1 to 10, how are we feeling about Go Live?
I think I gave mine answer already.
It makes no sense for
Thank you.
Sorry.
How are you feeling there, Pick a number, any number.
Make it all visible.
Yes, sure.
Yeah, make sure on the look at the right way. That's a big difference.
My plates are behind there. This reminds me yourself in the I think that comes out with something. Expect you to. Or something.
9 and 3/4.
More. I say that today. I got it. I think the old like I said.
Thank you. Did I miss anybody's?
Thank you so much.
Does anybody want to share what's behind their number or any personal reflections? No pressure. You don't have to actually say your number, but there's nobody at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. The numbers start there 7, 8. That's 9 and 3/4, and then 10. So we were very specific in our mathematics here for finance about how we're feeling towards Go Live. So, any thoughts, reflections, either on your number or the collective of the unit?
I want to hear a third of 9 and that's a 9.25.
Yeah, who's the Harry Potter fan?
9.5.
Just hit the wall.
Are we sure it's a 10 and not a 0-1?
Perhaps. Yeah.
What's the net promoter score of this district? Yeah.
I think it'd be high, so fairly high. I think as a collective, you guys are definitely on the right side of the continuum, ready for the change. When I introduced the activity, I said that everybody's change journey is a little bit different, but I would say collectively, you guys are feeling pretty in sync. So I'm going to turn it over to Ty, who's going to share information about the cutover, the support plan, the release management, and hopefully we'll get that 9 and 3/4 up to a full 10 or move the continuum a little bit. So over to Ty.
That's me. Yes. So we're going to talk a little bit about the cutover plan. And I think some people here are organized into a meeting later this week to talk about this in a little bit more detail. Basically, what we're looking at here, there's a number of information sessions that are happening this week, and today's is ours. And Stuart mentioned we had a couple of others. I believe IT and BI went earlier this afternoon, as well as employer services. There's a couple of deadlines to note during this week here. So one is that we're going to send out a pulse survey after this meeting, and we would greatly appreciate your input on that before the November 20th. A couple of other housekeeping tips. We've got deadlines to submit time card information to supervisors. That's going to be Friday in the morning. It's moved up by about 4 working days. So normally it's Wednesday. Any exemptions, days off, OT, it can be entered up until Friday. And if there's anything that gets missed, it's not like we're going to pay you. We're just going to catch up on the next payroll cycle. And if there's any questions about that, feel free to reach out to HR and payroll. And then there's going to be a couple of other announcements that, like Stuart's sending out some emails to all staff summarizing the system down and key dates. So that's what's happening this week here. We're basically just getting ready for some of the things that are happening in the next couple of weeks. Skip over to the next slide. I think we've got the cutover plan itself. So those are the things that we just covered what's happening this week. Making sure you get your payroll in by Friday. Next week, a little bit of a different ballgame. We're going to take the system down. So one of the things we have to do in order to replace the REA system is we have to pull everything down, disconnect it from all the pieces, and then reassemble all the pipelines back up to the new system. Now, Oracle presents a bit of a challenge for us in that Oracle Cloud is never actually down, but we do ask that everybody limit their interactions with it. If you're going to pull a report, that's one thing. If we're looking at journalizing something, that's a bit of a slightly different ballgame. So we do ask that we don't process any transactions through Oracle. What's going to happen is, the way that I tend to think of this is it's kind of like if you imagine a system of pipes that are interconnected, data is flowing through those pipes. We're going to shut off all the valves in order to replace a component. So the REA is not going to talk to Oracle. Oracle is not going to talk to REA, and same as Phineas. And Phineas and REA aren't going to talk to each other. So because we have such an integrated system, if we're making entries in those individual components, What'll happen is it'll basically just stack the pipeline. So when we do hook it all back up, everything will flood in at once, and we should see all the transactions. So if people are paying us through the bank, like the lockbox payments, those will come in. They'll just come in after the system gets turned back on. If Phineas is processing payments, we won't see those reflected in Oracle until after the system comes back on. All told, I believe it's just down for about a day and a half. Tuesday, Wednesday next week, kind of business as usual. There's a plan here that looks at some of the nightly batches. And again, I think a bunch of the accountants are getting together later this week to hammer out some more of the details around that. Or Samir and Medika, you guys are, I think, not mistaken?
Yeah.
The big news is Thursday and Friday. So at the end of the day, is it Wednesday? Nightly batches run as usual. Yeah, so noon Thursday, everything's coming offline. It's going to remain offline Friday. So if you happen to have an EDO, woohoo. If you have to be here in the office and are wondering, what am I going to do for 8 hours? You don't have to sit and twiddle your thumbs. We've got, there's always an online course that you can take, catch up on your training, catch up on your paperwork. Process standard work always needs to be updated. The idea is that if you're here, try to be here, try to be as productive as possible. That takes us through to the weekend. I think that's on the next slide. So Saturday and Sunday, the data team, I think, is actually doing all the migrations over the weekend. And then come Monday morning, we start to turn stuff back on. So we're communicating to our external customers that we're turning the system back on Tuesday. I think it's actually coming back up online Monday. So we'll have some read-only access to access some information. And come Tuesday morning, it should be business as usual. I think that's all I got for that. Any questions, comments, concerns, criticisms about my speaking style are always welcome.
So by Friday, all transactions need to be in for a week or so?
I would actually say a couple days earlier than that.
Like this Friday?
No, next Friday would be.
When's the last date we can enter any system stuff?
Wednesday, effectively.
Next.
Wednesday end of day. Yeah, next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Yeah,
Okay.
so like a week from today.
And then Thursday, Friday.
Thursday, I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay.
The cutoff is at noon, and then Friday is just a no-go. So even though you can still go into Oracle, and you may still be able to access Oracle because Oracle lives in the cloud now, we don't really shut it down anymore. Processing transactions, probably not a great point.
Just systems, though, SharePoint's all up and going.
Yeah. SharePoint is independent. It's not tied into the overall infrastructure or the claims of policy infrastructure.
And those pipeline data, those will come in November or in December period?
They'll land in December, but I think depending on the transaction date, Oracle might pick them up in one or the other, depending on whether we've closed the accounting period or not. I don't think we close the accounting period until a day or two later. Anyway, so
the idea is Wednesday night is usual, but Thursday morning's data will be inputted on
they're going to clear as much of the pipeline as possible.
Yes.
So the pipeline data will come in December.
In December. So the pipeline would be the Thursday morning data. They will try to run all the data. Sorry, let me just clarify. On Thursday afternoon, all the batch will run. So everything's going to be entered. However, if Phineas has data on that day, it will probably import on on Tuesday, December 3rd. Oh, December 2nd, sorry.
Yeah, so but system has the ability to put the transaction date on the same date. Like suppose they're gonna do this batch will run on December 2nd, still they can do it on November date.
The way Tim explained is Thursday's data, even if it's processed, it will not go to Oracle until on December 2nd one. So so I know you're asking, but I believe the Oracle data would be as of December 2nd.
So is that the effective date or the posted date?
Or
probably both by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
The reality is we'll figure that out.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah,
maybe we're gonna have a little bit timing different, but that should be different.
Right, and the timing difference will live in the 2580, the clearing accounts, because it will be sent from Phineas, but it won't go to Oracle until December 2nd.
So when we're reconciling them, it will be clear.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll know more once they turn it back on.
Yeah.
The variances on the reconciliations, right?
Like we have done same thing when we moved from EBS to cloud. So there was some 1-2 day data was there, and I think that time they put in the same month. even
Oh,
though
I see.
we have done in December.
Yeah.
But they use the same date. Like,
Well, I think it's to get a clean cut up between the systems. I suspect that was. It could be the same here. It could be different because with Oracle, in that case, we were actually replacing Oracle, and so you wanted a clean set of dates or data. This one we're replacing a slightly different system, so they could do it the same way. They could do it differently. Fundamentally, it's not going to matter anyway.
yeah, it's not gonna matter.
Because it'll catch back up at the end of December. So when we're doing the January when we're doing the reconciliations in January, we should see a lot of those variances resolved. Great questions. Any other questions, comments, concerns about the cutoff? So basically, get your payroll information in before Friday this week. Next week, come Thursday at noon, we're going to shut it down. And if anybody's interested in training videos, I've got a really neat one on something called the FAST system for financial analysis.
I love it.
Can I still do like reconciling and cash management
Hell no.
on Thursday morning?
Thursday morning, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, we're going to cut it off around noon. But those transactions live solely in Oracle. I don't believe they travel anywhere else. Because We're talking about the daily cash reconciliation. It's probably not going to break the system if you go a little bit over, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay.
You'll be the reason the whole thing failed.
Exactly. You don't want people whispering that behind your back.
Teresa, I'll just drop the mic. I'm out of here.
You mean the computer?
RG, questions, comments, concern?
I'm off on Thursday and Friday.
Coach right on through this thing. It's easy. You're one of those 10 people, aren't you?
I can't say anything.
Does it mean any questions, comments, concerns?
I'm in phase 2.
All right.
Oh.
It's going to be just fine. This is really it's a replacement of our invoicing system. So yeah, the receipts, the daily cash management will be a little bit different. And we'll see that more on Tuesday when we turn the system back on. I wouldn't worry too much about it. If you are concerned about it, let's talk. But other than that, I'm 90% sure. I'm 93% sure that it's going to work.
I was a 10.
You ready?
Yeah, because you went through the bank rec already at UB, so. Anybody else? Anybody online?
I have a question. What about, when you don't, but when we went from Eclipse to Phineas, we still had read access in Eclipse for a while. Would we have that here? Like, would we be able to look at accounts receivable the old way? Can't change anything, but you can look at it?
Yeah, they'll still have the read-only access in some form. Phineas isn't going away.
No, I mean,
during the
like even when we go live with the new like for REA, if the old REA way we looked at things, can we still look at that?
That's a great question. I believe there is still read-only access. They're transitioning it to I see Cindy nodding her head. So yeah, I think it should be. If nothing else, we'll have it in a database someplace that we can access information.
I guess it should be there because we still have EBS. So why not RE?
Because I'm going to mess with your computer.
We don't have data mark.
Data mart is just a data.
All right. I think we're going to push on the next one. External communication. Yeah. So, this I don't think this is exactly the first time that we've heard it. We've heard rumblings about this for a while now. Our external customers have also been notified or will be notified. So there's some nice information available on the website to make people aware of this. And then when they do log on to our website, they will see, down for maintenance and come back on Tuesday kind of thing. That's the one. That's the external communication cutover. So while we're down, people that are logging in trying to pay their bills will see this fancy web page or landing point. There's scripts that have been developed for the call center. So when people call in, depending on the nature of their concern, there's scripts that have been developed so that those people can talk to our customers in a meaningful way to let them know that we apologize, things are down for a day or two, and we will be happy to serve them once the things come back up and running. I think we can skip over to the next one. In terms of the go live, again, for external communications, we posted some plans and some slides or some information on our website. Other customers will be notified directly. So there is a plan in place to make sure that everybody that needs to know has at least had the opportunity to learn that we are shutting things down for a day or two. It's not really our peak earnings season, so I don't think we'll be impacted too heavily. And I don't know how many of those calls actually get to our group anyway. This is kind of more on the employer services side of things. All right. Support plan and resources. This one I'm something to spend a little bit more time on. So there's a couple of key links here. The Core Solution Training SharePoint site. Has everybody been through the Core Solution Training? See a few heads nodding. Yeah, everybody's been through that. Perfect. In the event that you do need to do something within the Core Solution, that's a really excellent resource to go through. You can go through it and check to see how everything works. There's quick reference guides in that link, the training videos, e-learning content, and the Core Suite training environment. So if you want to go in and say, how does this work? You can go in and take a look at it, work through some steps. The What Fix guide is the little blue light bulb that if you hover over it, it tells you a little bit more about what has to go through. I see Teresa nodding. It sounds like
pretty cool.
People have been through that and finding it interesting. The process information SharePoint. So leading up to this whole thing, Yubi and Abdul a while back met with a bunch of people on our staff, just deconstructed a few processes, looked at what's changing, and authored some work instructions. So we do have process standard work stored within this process information SharePoint site that does provide step-by-step guidance on some of those key processes. And I believe I've seen Teresa nodding her head again. The reason I'm looking at you is just because the daily bank rec is going to be one of those things. I believe you've been through the paces on that a couple of times. In the event that you need a reference guide, that's where it's stored. It's the same with, I think, some elements of our financial statements. I know Yubi and Denise, you guys got together on at least one occasion to walk through some of the additional changes that will be made to our financial statements to bring everything back in balance with the addition of a couple of new accounts. There's a lot of good work and a lot of resources that are available on that site. And if you're curious how somebody else's job works, there's a ton of process information about what our friends in employer services do as well. Fantastic resource. It's a document library in SharePoint, so it works a little bit different than the network folder. So you just have to filter on like a job description or something in order to track down where it is. And there's the critical elements for what's changing with the new Core Solution rollout. That's where those documents live. And of course, we've got the process standard work library that we maintain on our network. If we click over, the next one is...
That is the SharePoint site?
Yeah, so these are some screenshots of the SharePoint site here. So I think everybody's been through that at least once. The glossary of terms, vocabulary. A lot of times we use the same words to mean different things. If you're curious about what anything means within the Core Solution environment, this glossary is a fantastic resource for you. Some of the examples that I'll use is payroll. Sometimes when we're talking about payroll, we're talking about employer payroll that's being submitted. Sometimes we're actually talking about the payroll that WCB maintains and each of our individual checks. So depending on the context, this glossary will help you to decipher some of the things and some of the conversations that different people are having. Keep in mind who you're talking to is always important in terms of understanding the language they're using, how that's together. Then, yeah. In terms of support, finance, we tend to encounter a lot of problems, not necessarily problems, but because we're at the end of the line, we tend to see the accumulation of the work of every other department that comes before us. That often takes the form of a reconciliation. When things don't reconcile, what do? Usually you ask the person next to you, hey, I've got this problem. Yeah, can you help me take a look at it? Maybe you've encountered this before. the two of you might bang your heads together for a little while, realize that we haven't actually seen this before. We don't know what to do. Maybe we escalate it to a manager, or maybe, when in doubt, Ty sometimes has a couple of brain cells. We can go ask him to rub them together and see if any sparks fall out. But that's just the way that we've done business for the last, I've been doing this for about 20 years now. That's just the way that finance operates. This is not going to be a whole lot different. So when you encounter a problem with the core solution, we want to make sure that there's a process, and that's the first process. Ask the people around you, see if you can collaborate with each other to figure out what the solution is. Lean on some of the people from other departments to see if they can provide some insight. Escalate to your manager. Yubi was involved in a lot of the design steps along the way. Him and has also been involved at certain points, more on phase 2. We can lean on each other in order to come up with solutions to a lot of these things. If it's specific to the core solution itself, you can always ask one of the trainers. Yubi was our trainer for a lot of the financial processes, so you can always ask her as well. And then feedback groups. So if things are working or not working, feel free to mention that to the change network. We also have the executives on the floor wandering around. If things are really looking hairy, feel free to chat with Dale and let him know that.
Yeah, I'll fix it for you.
Dale will come and tell me, and I will also look at it and say, "Yeah, that's a problem."
Yeah, it's a problem.
And then together we'll figure out a solution to make sure that things work. So that's kind of, I kind of mentioned this earlier. So the tiered support. So we do have process standard work that's been developed for certain situations. The Core Suite and Policy Pro has got the training, so you can take a look through that again. Issue identification. Well, yeah. So the support's basically tiered into 3 different parts. We've got the self-support, access to help resources. So the first thing to do is to access some of those resources that we've got. Those being the process standard work, the training that's been provided. Tier 2 being the business level support. So ask your manager, ask me, talk to Yubi. Together, collaboratively, we'll come up with a solution. In the event that we cannot come up with a solution, the next step is to submit a service desk ticket. So this is a lot like what we do with Oracle today. With Oracle, if something doesn't look quite right, you work with the people next to you, around you, you call a friend. And then if you can't come up with a solution, we submit a help desk ticket and it gets escalated. Usually it gets escalated to Accenture, and we talk about it at the Wednesday meetings. Same thing here, except that when we submit the service desk ticket, it might go to Sapien or KPMG in addition to it'll start with our team. They'll triage it, identify what the issue is, and they'll bring in partners, whether it's KPMG, Sapien, or Accenture as required. Let's skip over to the next slide. I think that's so that's basically just another way of looking at it. So the first line, Samir, Medica, managers. Second line, UV is the person that was closest to a lot of the designs. Corporate support, log the issue with the IT support desk. I covered all this. Yeah. Tier 3 support. So just a quick note, on the MyWCB Sask site, there's that IT support ticket that lives in the upper right-hand corner. When you click on that, you get to this screen here, and there's going to be that policy solution issue. So that's the core solution. So you're going to click on that one, and it'll get streamed differently than the I need help with my password being getting reset. It's a very important IT support ticket policy issue if it's something that you feel is most likely related to the core solution. And that should primarily be on the banking, reconciliation, or the accounts receivable or the revenue side of things. Process.
Yes.
Process standard work. So Stuart very aptly described at the opening remarks that this is a transformation. This is a total transformation. We've got we're swapping out some of the people with lizard people. So if somebody's acting kind of weird, that's probably what it is. No, I'm joking about that. Technology is a component of it. Process is also changing. Obviously, when we bring in new systems, the process changes. We have also redefined how those processes work. what we're looking at doing is we're actually developing a process to manage our processes. Process management, we're defining processes at different levels, and then we're assigning ownership of each of those processes to different positions within the organization. And this helps to clarify both roles and responsibilities. It also helps to clarify if we want to change something going forward, who's the person that had that where that responsibility ultimately resides. Did I get a few points for that one? Yeah.
There's a few more slides.
Oh yeah, I know there's more slides. So process owners is the first thing that we did. Process owners are the designated authority accountable for a particular process within an organization, and they are responsible for ensuring the process is executed effectively, meets the desired outcomes, and aligns with the organization's strategic goals. The reason we have process owners is that if we do have ideas on how things could be done a little bit differently, we can bring those to the process owners. The process owners can take a look at both the upstream and downstream effects of that and collaborate with other leaders within the organization to affect change in a positive way. Sometimes we see things, especially on our side of things, somebody will change something, they'll adjust a report, and suddenly the work that we do falls apart because we can't get the information in the format that we needed it. And so we have to adjust. Those are some of those unanticipated consequences of streamlining upstream processes. Downstream processes don't work quite as well. Or, we could be some of the culprits in this, and we make a change, and it lands badly with another group that didn't anticipate those types of things being tracked, reported, monitored, or reported on in the ways that they were. So that's why we have process owners. So we have somebody that takes responsibility and coordinates so that if we're looking to improve something, change something, or fix something, that we make sure that we consider both the upstream and downstream impacts of that, as well as that we're driving towards that common strategic goal. For that one, process ownership. Process ownership extends to several levels. We're showing the top 3 here. At the level 1, we've got the executive sponsor. So that's, Phil, Dale, Stuart, Trevor, Kevin, Jen, and the rest of the gang. I think I missed 1 or 2 in there someplace. They're responsible for the end-to-end customer journey. George and Sophia. They establish the strategy, monitor, and communicate progress. So those are the guys that are really sort of setting the direction of the overall corporation. They're the ones that are figuring out, do we want to be a customer service? Well, of course, we want to be a customer-centric organization, but that sometimes has some costs associated with it. So how much are we willing to pay to move the needle on some of those markers? It's just one example. Down below that, we have business ownership. So that's collaborating with process owners to set directions, objectives, and collaborating with other business owners of intersecting processes. One really good example of this would be our cash management. If you were to ask, if we want to stop accepting cash at the reception desk, who do we talk to about that? It might be finance, it might be employer services. So somebody has mapped this all out, and by somebody I mean Catherine. She's mapped out all the processes within the organization. Really remarkable job. If you ever want to see a work of art, go skim through the mural board that it resides on.
We'll have the process maps posted for all staff soon. But
Catherine did a really remarkable job of mapping out all the processes in a really remarkable level of detail to track how every piece of data moves through the organization. It's really something to behold. Within that, we've defined specific owners for some of those work streams. That typically resides at the director level. Next level down, we've got individual process owners. So things like the daily bank reconciliation. Well, Teresa, if you have a different way of wanting to do the bank reconciliation, you would probably talk to Samir about that. I believe he's the one that owns that specific process. So that tends to be a specific stream of work at a more detailed level than the interconnecting pieces or the overarching strategy. So this is, I think, a slightly new way of looking at our organization. Probably the process the assignation of process owners to all of the individual processes, and just mapping out all of the processes was an incredible task. I'm glad you're here for this, Catherine, because I really do think it was a beautiful body of work put together on that one.
The concept of process ownership here before, if anybody participated in improvement events, might have come up in the past, but I never really quite operationalized it across. It was more like a temporary assignment, like who's going to support the team in this improvement work. Now it'll be more operational, more consistent.
So that's the process ownership components. If you do have inquiries, I believe this is the SharePoint site, or is this the
My WCB.
My WCB?
It's right on the front page there.
Yeah. So on the landing page of My WCB, there's that process information, takes you to a SharePoint site that's got all kinds of really interesting pieces of process documents. These ones, in fact. Which I believe includes all the process standard work that was developed for a lot of the different things. So here we have a filtered view for the finance group, for the premium deposits, receiving premium payments, for reconciliations, and the registration of businesses and ours.
No. This is just there too. Yeah.
I thought the receiving payments was ours, but I guess not. Yeah. So if you are looking for the how-to guides on the process standard work, for the pieces of the work that were developed specific to this, and hopefully one day we can migrate some of our process standard work to this library as well. That would be wonderful. My WCB page, that process information, and then here you can click on the process documents to see, basically the how-to guides on a lot of the different things that impacted by the core solution. Document templates. The document templates is a really neat one. There was functionality within the core solution that it could effectively assemble letters and things like that. So the forms, the templates, a lot of the stuff that's used by employer services, and eventually claims will do something similar. All these forms are recorded and stored in this area here as well. So things like our annuity letters should be found in this location. It's a remarkable piece of technology in terms of how those documents get assembled by the system. It pulls different pieces of information with standardized text, and then you can customize it and send it out. But our standard document templates are all stored in that location there. The standard work, job aid examples. So the process standard work, the job aids. We do have a spreadsheet that I think is Tunde online. Tunde, if you're there, you might want to pay attention to this a little bit. We've got a wonderful spreadsheet that identifies all the GL mapping for each of the financial transactions within the core solution. So it acts as a bit of a Rosetta Stone. So if anybody's curious about, when somebody selects a specific financial transaction within the core solution, we have the GL mapping for it stored in a spreadsheet that we can share with you if it isn't already included here. It is a bit of a design document, so it's a little information heavy, but wonderful document for when we're wondering why it is that our 1020 account is at $3.6 million when it's never had any dollars in it before. There's probably some information in that document that will leave a trail of breadcrumbs in terms of what happened within the core solution to generate that result. It's an interim process. Oh yeah. So there are a few interim Okay, yeah. So there are, as Stuart mentioned at the start, there are a couple of processes that we are working on finalizing. So we have a couple of workarounds that we will have to do. These are detailed in the interim processes?
The interim processes are embedded into the process standard work. So UB's been going in there and flagging if there's anything that not quite available for day one. So.
Yeah, so this is where the So one of the things that we have is the aging receivable report that Manish said he wasn't asking about, but I answered anyway. Yeah, so this is just a highlighting that there should be some interim queries and reports in here. So if we're looking for the aging AR report, we don't have that exactly, but we do have a report that simulates that. And so when that comes, so that's what we'll be using in the interim, that should be located in here. So if there's anything that we're looking for some of the workarounds that we're doing in the short term, that's the location of it. So we can click on the process information, the process documents, and then locate that within the interim queries and reports.
And say BI is trying to get these into some program so that they can be emailed out to people. So that's one thing they're working on. But the interim queries are stored right there right now, just and where they are.
Skip over to the next one, release management. So this was the one that Menica was wondering about. We have a bunch of known issues. All known issues or new identified in production will be resolved through controlled planned releases. In case of a critical issue, resolution following accelerated resolution path. So that's a lot of words to say don't panic. We have a plan in place. We know a bunch of stuff isn't going to work on day one. We also have plans in place to make them work in the very near future. And so there are planned releases, and the releases being they're releasing a new, not version, but they're releasing the fixes or bug fixes, updating code, updating queries, those types of things. So there's 3 planned dates for those, and then in between, if there's a particularly critical issue, there's the opportunity to insert what's called a hot fix. So these are a lot like the updates that you get for your iPhone or pretty much any electronics these days. You plug it in overnight, it updates for you. We've got specific release dates for this. So they've identified a ton of issues that are currently working on being resolved. Those have been categorized by critical, high important, medium important, low important. The low important aren't going to get fixed until maybe a little bit later. The critical ones and the high ones probably going to get fixed right away. So they are prioritizing and have organized releases to bring certain pieces of functionality within the system online as quickly as possible. So this is what Stuart meant when he said, we do have a bunch of stuff that we know doesn't work, but that doesn't mean that it won't work over time, and we will continue to resolve issues as they get identified. So this kind of ties into if it doesn't work, don't panic. Work with a buddy, work with your manager, submit a ticket. Those tickets go into this queue. If it's deemed critical, it could move into one of those release times. So the planned releases ensure that we have proper testing, so we'll have resources available for testing it. It also ensures that we get the functionality that we need as quickly as possible. Great, thanks, yeah. So our role in finance will be to validate the solution meets our business needs, requirements, and works as intended in our real-world scenarios. We did a ton of testing. Testing's been going on for weeks, if not months. Depending on how you count, if it's a kid. Anyway, the testing isn't going to. It did resolve. It did find and resolve a bunch of the known issues. Some of them just couldn't have been fixed in time. Once we get into a real world environment and the amount of data that's moving through the system shoots up to real world conditions, we're likely to find a few outliers that we didn't find during testing. The one that I typically reference in these situations is we had a French language character when Oracle went live, passed into our payment engine. The payment engine didn't have error handling to correct for French language characters, and it shut the entire thing down. Those are the types of things. Again, if we had it in bullet-friendly letters, don't panic. When that happens, you submit the ticket, and that's what these releases are intended to resolve. Even these releases could result in the need for regression testing. Just because we fixed one thing downstream doesn't mean we didn't break something upstream or further downstream. So we'll have to make sure that we test things continuously. So we might be pulled in to examine some of those real world scenarios and those fixes as they become available. So our job during this during this bit is to make sure that we do have some capacity to execute some of the testing when it becomes available, and to make sure we notify people and follow those steps in terms of the management of issues. Call a friend, escalate, report, and make sure that all of those things get resolved as quickly as possible. On the next slide, we've got the release management. So as promised, there were 3 planned releases. Your deployment dates are in December, January, and February, with moving to production in January, February, March. So this is the same kind of thing that we see with all the stuff that we submit to Accenture. It goes to a testing environment, gets tested before it gets released into production. Exact same kind of idea here. We have stuff that we know is to be defective, stuff that's known to be defective that's going to be corrected. We should start to see those first corrections show up in the production environment in January, February, and March. The prioritization is really, they do a remarkable job of making sure that the critical stuff, we bring in a lot of different people from a lot of different areas to figure out what's critical. Because it's our year end, finance has typically been viewed as a bit of a showstopper. We don't want to find out what happens if we can't table financial statements, and so we tend to get we've enjoyed a bit of notoriety at this time of year. Had we gone live in May, it might have been a different scenario, but thankfully we've gone live in December just in time for our year end, so we can get things fixed as quickly as possible. That said, these are the planned releases. I believe there are hot fixes in place as well. Should something if we happen to issue a release in January and everybody comes in the day after the release and turn on all the computers and nothing works, pretty sure they're going to do a hot fix at that point to figure out what the bug is and correct it as quickly as possible. So after all of this, if you want to rescore it and move it closer to one side, I would discourage it strongly. It means we are no longer providing muffins at these meetings. But if anybody does have any questions or concerns, please raise them. These are big changes. I'm confident that we've done all the work that we could have done to make sure that this is as seamless as possible. Big things like this, you can't really predict all of the variables, though. WCB is a big organization. It's a complex organization. We deal with a lot of different transaction types. Odds are pretty good that something is going to sneak past, despite our best efforts. But again, don't panic. Talk to the people sitting next to you. Talk to people around you. Talk to your manager. Don't talk to me. Talk to this if it's obvious that I don't know anything. Yeah. But no, do come to me if you have any concerns. My door is always open. But if there's anything further that we can do to help you with this, let us know. And when things do go live, don't panic. It's going to be okay. Final thing, readiness pulse check survey. So you don't have to tell me whether you moved from the 10 to the 1. We'll send out a survey. You can fill it out. There's I think 7 questions that'll be asked. It takes about 3 minutes to get through the survey. Lisa's going to painstakingly go through them all and call out individuals that no, there's not. We are gonna send out a survey though, and the responses really truly are requested, and we do pay close attention to what's there. If there's anything missing, we want to know about it so we can address it. So please take the 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is, once it goes out to fill it out. We're going to ask that those will be returned by the 20th.